Hey there, welcome to Takeaway with Sam Oches, a podcast from Nation's Restaurant News. I am Sam Oches, editor-in-chief here at NRN, and this is the show where I give you an all-access pass to the restaurant industry's most influential decision-makers. This week I'm talking with Mike Ungaro, the CEO and co-owner of San Pedro Fish Market, an iconic restaurant on the San Pedro waterfront south of Los Angeles. Mike is the third generation to lead San Pedro Fish Market, which was started by his grandfather in 1956. But it's not just the history of this restaurant that is epic. It is 55,000 square feet and it has 3,000 seats, serving 2 million customers per year. Today, it claims 4 Guinness World Records and a position on the top 10 most Instagrammed restaurants in the world. All of this helped San Pedro Fish Market catch the attention of producers who have helped to turn the restaurant and the family running it into a hit online series called Kings of Fish. Mike joined the podcast to share how San Pedro Fish Market has capitalized on its status as a Southern California icon and how it has seized control of its narrative to the betterment of its business. In this interview, you will learn more about why you should pay attention to how your guests are engaging with you, why it's never been easier to turn your brand into a show, and how any part of your story that you leave blank, your customers will fill in. Jumping out into my interview with San Pedro Fish Market's Mike Ungaro, which was filmed on the floor of the recent National Restaurant Association show in Chicago. Also, don't forget to stick around after the interview as I will share my 4 takeaways from this discussion, actionable insights that you can take with you on the go. All right, I'm sitting here with Mike Ungaro of San Pedro Fish Market. Mike, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. It's going to be great.
You guys have a really great story. Give me just the quick pitch here on what San Pedro Fish Market's all about.
The San Pedro Fish Market is a seafood experience on the LA waterfront. I'm third generation. It was started by my grandfather 1956, so that's 6 to 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We grew from a 200 square foot little seafood shop selling fresh seafood out of ice chests. You know, my grandfather told my dad and his best friend, "You want to go to college, or you want to work?" Like, we hate school. So they worked, and they turned it into, eventually, over the course of decades, one of the largest restaurants in the country. 55,000 square feet, 3,000 seats, 2 million customers a year, and 4 Guinness World Records. Top 10 most Instagram restaurant in the world, I think, 3 times. I think we're in the country. I think we're number 5 and 7, like 3 years in a row.
How'd you pull that off, the most Instagram?
You know, it's interesting. We weren't even paying attention to Instagram. We had an Instagram account, but we were just looking at Facebook at the time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're on CNN and Time and all these different magazines. And I'm like, what the heck happened? It was our customers were geotagging themselves. That's how they measured it.
Okay.
Because our food is very experiential. The way that the system worked at the time, which we're reinventing now, was you would go and pick out your own seafood out of our fresh case, whole fillets, shrimp, and then bring it to our barbecue kitchen, and we mix it with veggies, potatoes, garlic bread, tortillas. So people, when you do that, you're like, how many people? It's just me. Well, you just need a half a pound. You give them a half a pound of shrimp, they're like, nah, I don't think you understand, I'm hungry. Yeah. So now they're buying enough food for 6 people. This is why. So we were selling 200 tons of shrimp this way a year. And it was these giant piles of seafood on plastic cafeteria trays and park benches on the water, which is very, like people, the tray comes, bring the tray out to the table, and I was like, so we're taking pictures and geotagging to show everyone in the world, and we didn't realize Instagram was measuring.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's a happy accident.
It was
right?
really good. So I think we need to pay more attention to this.
That's right. Well, and so to that point, you guys have taken control of your media to some degree now, because you have this Kings of Fish show that you guys have on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Tell me about how all of that came about.
Yeah, so it's kingsoffishtv.com is where you can find it, and it'll be all the episodes we made up to this point. And what you'll find coming in August of this year, 2024, will be a reboot of it, which will be, instead of these 5-minute streaming episodes, there'll be 20-minute episodes. There's 8 of them, and it's a full story arc. And Pepsi reached out to us and said, we'd like you to do some more episodes, but we want them in this format. Can you do it? And we weren't going to. And like, the history on it was, we had been on some TV shows in the past. There's one called Drink Inc. that was on YouTube had a food channel at one point. It was called The Hungry Channel. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Bruce Seaton, I think, from Food Network, that started, and we were on a couple of these episodes, and we had these other things, and producers would come to us, and say, you guys are kind of easy to work with on the camera. Plus, you feed us.
Yeah.
Because we do. We have to set up, feed everybody. You know, we do big trays of shrimp, so they'd come back. And these guys reached out to us and said, we understand you're going to try to set 3 Guinness World Records in a single day for this lobster fest that you do. We used to do the world's largest lobster fest. We bring Maine lobsters in, and we could cook 2,000 pounds an hour.
Just
So we reached out to Guinness to go, maybe we could do it. So we were doing 3 Guinness World Records in a day. And this camera crew heard about it, this production company, not camera. They filmed it, and they turned it into a sizzle reel, and they called it Fishmongers.
okay.
And they were shopping it around, and we had a great relationship. I still talk to these guys. We went a different way after this, but they weren't able to sell it, but it was really cool to watch because it was like, hey, we got our own TV show.
Yeah.
So we had a frozen product meal at the time that I was selling in the grocery stores was our shrimp tray. It was one you could buy grocery. HEB was really interested in Texas. I went to meet with them. Like, who are you? So I played the sizzle reel. I played Fishmonger sizzle reel, and they're like, we'll buy it. What channel is it on? I go, no, that's all. I just wanted to know where it's marketing.
Right.
Okay, yeah, but what channel? And they couldn't see that there wasn't an actual show.
Yeah.
And they bought all the shrimp, and I had nothing else to sell it. So we decided, you know what would be good is we should start just self-producing this on our own. So we went around and we built our own team. And Tim's great. He's Tim Waswood is with us. Tim does Bar Rescue and a bunch of other food shows, like a lot of reality shows as an editor. So then he would tell me, he goes, you know, the hard part is they give me all this stuff to edit, but I if I was there, I would have had the right angle. You know, but I wasn't there. I just got what they gave me. So I'd love to work with you guys, film what I need to film, and then I can edit it the way I want it done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about, but great. So that's Kings of Fish was born from that. It was like his idea. We talked to him, we put everything together, we told him some of our stories. The first 5, it was originally to be 5-minute episodes that we would stream on our social. This is the same exact time the Instagram thing happened.
Yeah.
So I was focused on Facebook. We'll do it on Instagram. We'll push these out. We create these episodes, and we had this $1 million bump in sales in the first month. It's like July, which is our busiest month, that we cannot, like, to give you an example, when at our peak in this time, our customer base was coming from a 100-mile radius.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're driving often from Las Vegas.
Like 2 hours.
Yeah, but from Vegas, it's 6. From Phoenix, it's 6. And they were going home the same day, and it was a 2-hour wait to get in the building because we didn't have, our 3,000 seats were full.
Yeah.
And not to mention, there's no parking. So as we're watching this, then the series hits, and it went beyond that. Like, in other words, the hour went to 3 hours, and longer waits. People were flying in from other states. And then we teamed up with a company called Food Beast. You talked to those guys?
Yeah.
Food Beast was looking for content, and we were looking for eyeballs. So we switched. We gave you the first 4 episodes. And they're like, oh, I think we're getting the better end of the deal, so we'll come out and do a viral video or something. We'll do a video with you. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. They came out and filmed this video on one of our shrimp trays. It went viral. I don't think they've been able to figure out out of us since why this happened. Because this is probably 2017.
None of it's predictable.
Right. 2017, 2018, it got something like 55 million views by this point. But 10 million of them, or 30 million, were in the first 10 days. And like 30,000 customers came in from almost every state in the country in a 10-day period.
Wow.
In the rain, and waited in that line outside. And I didn't know because I'm touring colleges with my daughter at the time. The Port of Los Angeles Police Department's calling me. What are you doing? We have to shut down freeway off-ramps. We don't understand what's going on.
Wow.
I'm not there. What do you mean? So all my employees are sending me pictures of traffic and lines. And I go, man, the video went viral. I didn't know it was going to have that kind of an effect. So I'm like, okay, we have the series. We have, we have people we can collaborate and team up with to get it out the different channels. And so we just kept building on that.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, the whole area was up for redevelopment, and we weren't supposed to be part of it originally. So I'm like, well, this is a great way for us to be not just relevant, but irreplaceable.
Yeah.
So we focused that, built a media team, PR, social, digital, graphic design, and we were building the episodes. And we were using those essentially to put our story out there, because we realized the more we looked at social media, people didn't know we were getting referred to as like swap meet for seafood, like the one you see in Ensenada when you go to Mexico. Like, that's weird. They don't know who we are. So the series and all these things we built allowed us to control the narrative, tell the story, bring in sponsors. Like, I don't know if you remember, but like Corona was only in bottles for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? When they launched with kegs, because Kings of Fish, they're like, we'll give you a little bit of money. Well, they can't give it to the restaurant.
Yeah.
We were one of their largest customers.
Really?
Largest customers. So I go, well, I have a different company for media. If you could give money to them, I'm sure we could film us pouring beer out of a tap.
Wow.
With the Corona handle.
Yeah.
And they did. It gave us a little bit of cash for that. So then since then, it's been a hunt. Like, well, geez, we got to find other vendors to help pay.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive. It's like a television quality series. So it could be some money to produce.
Yeah.
But the return's there. And so
It's amazing to me because like we spent a lot of time this year talking about influencers, right? Like, and obviously it's kind of the same thing of what you're talking about here, which is we're trying to tap into the new media tools, social media, to get to the masses, to tell your story. And you guys have really taken control of this. But you also do have to make sure there's story there, right? And, so Kings of Fish, to your point, you have a narrative arc. You have to have story. Tell me about the story of San Pedro Fish Market. How are you guys actively trying to ensure there's something that is worth the content you're producing?
Right, sure. My family's pretty crazy naturally. We're a bunch of characters already, So, and we knew this, but we didn't know how it was going to show up. And we had this opportunity where we could have gone to networks, and they were like, well, we want we want your sister to be a little bit skankier. We want you guys to fight, and maybe you dress weird. I'm like, okay, I want it to represent the family.
Yeah,
not
authentic.
I don't want to be that.
Yeah,
I got that enough already. I don't need to put it out there. And nobody wanted to, right? We really thought we have enough good stories. I mean, my grandfather was a bookie. He used to open that first business as a front. Like stuff you learn when you get older. I'm like, I think they didn't know it. I mean, there's plenty of stuff we could build on. Everybody's dead. Nobody cares anymore. So, so we had that, and we had just the personalities. And now this is where it gets a little sad. So I'll tell you, if you watch some of the early episodes, you'll see there's the Ungaro side, which is me and my two brothers and my sister. There's the Amalfitano side, the two basically families that own the business. Tommy Sr., who was like the boss that founded everything, was really the driving force between everything that's been successful. And his kids, well, during COVID, this is why we weren't even going to do any more Kings of Fish, both of his children died. They actually both had COVID and they didn't survive. So It was a really terrible blow. And we lost employees, we lost coworkers. It was, it's terrible for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? But for the series, it just didn't feel right to do anything after that. It's like, it was, because Tommy Jr.'s personality was incredible. He was really like comedic relief for the series. If you watch some of the older episodes, you're really watching it to see what he's going to get into next. He wasn't acting. It was just him.
Yeah.
Like a boat sank one time in one of the episodes when he was fishing on it. That was real. Then they recovered and got it up. He's like, hey, it's sinking, So
This is good for content.
yeah, like we were filming that day. We were filming an episode, and you'll have to watch to see what happens. But I was freaking out. Like, I think that boat's really sinking. So, Pepsi came to us and said, we're in this pandemic. Everyone, we need content. Everybody's home watching TV.
Yeah.
You have a great series. It was already on Roku and a few other streaming channels, but in the 5-minute format. So they had made this offer. If you could do this, we'll give you some money for it. They were like, I don't know if anybody's up for it right now because what happened, because we're losing the two people on the show. But we sat down with the producer who had grown really close, Tim and Tommy Jr. really close. It's hard not to love Jr. And he goes, we met with his kids and the family, and Tim started making this offer. He goes, I'm fine with letting it all go, but if we want to do another season, we can really memorialize your dad and let people know what happened, but really like honor him that way. So that was the purpose, what we agreed to do it. So we started filming different things to put this narrative together for that purpose. And then we got evicted from our location, our legacy location, because our area was being redeveloped and it was going on and on and on and on. The irreplaceable part worked. We were going to be in the project, and we are in the project. Not to let me cut to the end. We're going to be part of the project.
Sure.
But they still had timelines to meet, and where we were supposed to go wasn't going to be aligned with their timelines. They were trying to relocate us. So they said, we just got to get out of the building. And you got to give us someplace to go, because I can't turn off the spigot. Millions of people are still going to show up.
Yeah.
I'm great at marketing, but not that great. So they go, well, there's this parking lot over here. It's about 28,000 to 22,000 square feet. There's no plans for it for the next year. Can you set something up there? Yeah. We will figure it out. And that became like the theme for the season.
Yeah.
We're like, we can fit all the content into this and actually tell people the story about what we're doing. So that's what we did. We in 60 days, we reopened in a parking lot with temporary kitchens that we rented, 32-foot kitchen trailers, bathrooms, power generators.
Jeez.
There's no drain, there's no water. So we had to figure out how we get water there, how do we get water out, how we going to keep everything moving without an environmental disaster.
Right.
And for a year, we've done it. And we served about 600,000 people out of that parking lot.
So what's next? When does the restaurant open?
So our next phase, we're calling, to back up, in 1980, the same thing happened when we were redeveloping the waterfront the first time. And we had to leave and operate out of a parking lot. So we had a place called Norm's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
It got torn down. We operated out of a parking lot and built San Pedro Fish Market in 1 year.
Wow.
And opened on Good Friday 1982. So when this happened again, I go, man, we're reliving the whole thing again. Why don't we just call this parking lot the Landing as a throwback to show that we don't quit and we don't give up. This is just temporary. So the Landing is phase 1. We had to move again. When it was raining in January, like, you know what, we need that parking lot now. Are you serious? So in 2 days, we picked all the equipment up, went to another parking lot 100 feet away, and reopened.
Wow.
Landing phase 1.5. And then the entire time, there's a 30,000 square foot piece of land inside the development, they call it North Park, that they don't have any immediate plans for because they're building everything on the south side right now, where we were. So we'll take that, set it up, get us a lease. We're going to build, instead of renting all these temporary kitchens, we're going to build one that's temporary, that's 60 feet. It's going to have bathrooms, the kitchen's 60 feet long. It's all refabricated containers. It's all licensed, all permitted. It's going to plug in the utilities, but it's temporary, so it could move. It's going to have its own bathrooms. It's going to have its own back of house refrigeration, everything. And it's going to have close to, we might be able to get to 2,000 seats. I don't know.
Wow.
The spacing is a little weird.
Yeah.
And it's right on the water. That should be open already, but we deal with a lot of bureaucracy.
Gotcha.
Because, you go into building a safety health department, there's no box to check for this.
Right.
No one's ever done it like this before. So, but we have all the political support. Everybody wants it done. We got 150 people working there with really good paying jobs. People have been with us 23 years. So that'll be open in a few weeks, and then we'll rebuild San Pedro Fish Market to what it was. Okay. That'll probably take a couple of years. That'll be big.
Yeah.
That'll be be back to 3,000 seats.
Wow. I mean, it shows the loyalty of your customers that they continue to stick with you through all this. So, Mike, last question for you. You're so good at, again, controlling that narrative of the story, and I'm just wondering your advice to anybody listening on how they can use storytelling to the advantage of their restaurant.
The reason I do that and what I learned about storytelling, any part of the story that you leave blank, people fill it in with what they think.
Right.
No one knew we were a family-owned business. They didn't know we were going on the 4th generation. So control your narrative, control your story, and do it as much as you can. And also, people need to hear things at least 7 times.
Yeah.
But I think it's closer to 50, and maybe 7 different ways. So if it's social, if it's video, if it's signage, if it's texting, whatever you do, you got to test because different people have a different tolerance. You don't want to anger them.
Right.
You don't want to over communicate, saturate it, but and understand what they care about.
Yeah.
So the way I looked at it too is if there was 2 seafood restaurants next to each other, I think we'd beat them because of our story.
Yeah.
So we really focus on where can we tell the story and how do we let people be part of it. How you want to be in Kings of Fish? You could show up where we're filming this day. We always look for posts that we can repost and give people credit. And if we can integrate it in with a storyline, we do that too. We did a lot of we did the thing with Joey Chestnut, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah.
He won. But we brought in, it was a whole shrimp eating contest. Turns out having the biggest shrimp because they looked best on camera wasn't a good idea. Because they thought they were just popping them.
Yeah,
They didn't exercise their jaw muscles enough to chew on the big shrimp. It was tough to watch.
Oh.
It was on the Battleship Iowa deck. It was right next to us. Anyway, it was on Memorial Day, and it was awesome.
Well, it's great advice. Mike Ungaro of San Pedro Fish Market. Thanks for taking some time.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to hear. Thanks again.
That was my interview with San Pedro Fish Market's Mike Ungaro. So what should you learn from this interview? Here are my 4 takeaways. My first takeaway is that you should pay attention to how your guests are engaging with you. Mike was pointing out the fact that San Pedro Fish Market is one of the top 10 most Instagrammed restaurants in the world and how they didn't even know about it when it first got that accolade. As he pointed out, they were paying attention to Facebook and what they were doing on Facebook when it was brought to their attention that Instagram is this great platform for them and how customers are engaging with them. Of course, Mike talked about the fact also that, this restaurant is very experienced. It's very hands-on. Guests get their fish, bring it to the kitchen. There's a lot about that resonates on social media very, very well. So perhaps no surprise that they do so well on Instagram. But Mike explained in the interview how they really had to take advantage of that. They had to recognize, okay, well, if this is the kind of content that customers want, let's lean into that. Let's recognize that this is one of our core strengths. And they were able to really help make San Pedro Fish Market all the more visual and experiential experiential so that they could get that out there on social media. My second takeaway is that it's never been easier to turn your brand into a show. Now, look, your restaurant might not need to be a TV show. Let's face it, not all restaurants should be a TV show. Now, I have watched some of Kings of Fish, and this family is just fun and entertaining. Mike, you can tell from the interview that they have something very compelling to show on TV, right? And maybe your restaurant isn't that. However, consider the fact that with technology, with production capabilities, certainly with the fact that online you have all these streaming platforms, even just YouTube, you have a lot of tools at your disposal to tell the story of your brand. And that could be a show. Whether or not it's a show doesn't as much matter so much as you should remember that these tools are very accessible to you. Consider that there's lots of producers out there who will help you at an affordable price point. These tools to record, to capture these scenes, to create this content is accessible to you. So think about how you might take advantage of that for your own business and how you can get your restaurant out there as its own show. My third takeaway is related, and that is that content is king, so make it a priority. So again, maybe it's not a TV show like Kings of Fish, but you do need to participate in social media. You do need to create content online that demonstrates who you are, what your restaurant is all about. Content is king. This is a saying we have in the journalism world. In fact, my boss, Joe Donnelly, and I are always saying this to each other because it's important to, especially in media business, emphasize what we're doing here. What is our product? It is content. Restaurants, of course, product is not content. It's food and beverage. But anymore, content is the first way that customers are interacting with your restaurant. They are on social media. They are scrolling online. They are looking for something in their community. Maybe they're hungry and searching for what to eat. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just doom scrolling and you pop up. Either way, the content you create is going to capture their attention. And it is one of your best ways, if not the best way for you now to get their attention and bring them in to your restaurant. Because content is king, you must make this a priority. Consider how you and your team, your restaurant, are going to create content that is compelling, that gets customers' attention and gets them to come into the restaurant. Mike did such a wonderful job throughout this interview really explaining the benefits of the content that San Pedro Fish Market is creating, Kings of Fish and other social content that they've made. He explained how people fly in from all over the country just to go to San Pedro Fish Market. They drive for hours and hours just to experience this restaurant. Sales took off when Kings of Fish first debuted. There is a real ROI to good content that's telling your story, so you cannot put that on the back burner, and you can't just treat it as another box to check in marketing. You must make it a priority. My fourth and final takeaway is that any part of your story you leave blank, customers will fill in. That was such a great line from Mike toward the end of our interview. I really loved that. The point he was making is that if you just tell the light version of your story, if you just kind of offer a broad look at what your restaurant is all about, your customers are going to make some assumptions. And that's dangerous. They might assume the wrong thing or bad things. You have to tell your whole story in your voice in an authentic way so that you make sure your customers really understand who you are and what you're all about. This is really, really critical, I think. Again, today, when content is king, when it is so important, don't leave any blank spaces in your story. Mike even said, there's some data that shows that people have to hear something like 7 times on 7 different platforms to really understand it, let it sink in. I don't know if that data is real or not, but what I do know is that he's right, is that you do have to share this story over and over and over again. Make sure your customers understand who you are, that they're not missing this. They're not filling in any blanks. What San Pedro Fish Market has ultimately done, that Mike was sharing on this interview, is they have seized control of their narrative. Storytelling is so critical to connecting with customers today. And if you seize control of your narrative, don't leave any blank spaces in there. Tell your whole story very genuinely, authentically, and comprehensively. You have the best shot at success for your restaurant. And who knows, maybe even someday you can become an icon like San Pedro Fish Market. Those are all my takeaways for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe to Takeaway wherever you listen to wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave your feedback. You can also email me at sam.oches@informa.com. Thanks again, and talk to you next week.